What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow based off the charts are showing and based off the data is suggesting. I'm also going to break down some very important pieces of news that will affect the market and Tesla going forward that may actually cause a little bit of downside sooner than anticipated. But then we do have a big catalyst on Wednesday that could change everything. Now, before I break anything down, before I get into any more details about the news and how these things may affect Tesla, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, deposit any amount of money into the account. You're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is any could be a free Tesla share, a free Apple share, or a mix of all of them. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 2 days. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Looking at Tesla, guys, and before I get started, I want to say one last thing. I do apologize about the microphone quality. I am actually recording this in a different place on my laptop, but it's okay, guys. That's not going to stop me from recording these videos. But anyways, looking at Tesla, this thing did close the way I thought it would, a little bit green for today. The bulls did push at the very end. However, we did end up seeing some very, very interesting things. So Tesla did get a nice push up. My prediction yesterday was seeing Tesla hit about 190 a share and maybe breaking past if we had enough momentum. My target was about 190, followed by a small rejection and a pretty green day. That's what I was thinking. Instead, Tesla pushed up to about 188.5. And what happened was the market ended up selling off thanks to many factors. The Fed obviously was speaking. They were very confusing in a way from Bullard to the other speakers. And then we also have the news involving China that ended up causing the market to sell off. And this did end up playing a big role in dictating Tesla's sell off as well. So, given all the factors, I want to talk about that now because it's going to be very important for the stock market. So, in China, they're seeing a big increase in their virus cases. And this is not necessarily the best of news for investors because now the government is once again putting their hand down and just reeling in more and more of these lockdowns. And the market does not like this because the lockdowns in turn they slow down the economic activity in China. They slow down the production output and many things like that. And you also have to remember the fact that in China, they make up a large percentage of the US's manufacturing. So it's not the best of things to hear. Now, on top of that, this is leading to massive protests and lots of unrest in the country across the entire nation. And this is just not good whatsoever, guys. I really want the best for every citizen that's very innocent and is not, a part of the things that go on. And it's just very hard to see this happening, right? My heart goes out to everyone that's being affected. And this in turn is affecting Tesla. Now, why is it affecting Tesla? Is it because Tesla is directly getting hurt? And the answer is no. As of right now, no. What's happening is the whole market is starting to come down because of this, and this price action is bringing Tesla down. As of right now, I do not have an indication that the Giga Shanghai factory is slowing down. As of right now, I'm not seeing any news that's saying that. I've been looking into it. I haven't seen anything. But if it does end up happening, I will inform everyone, and that will be very negative for Tesla. And this is why you have to be very careful during times like these. Now, from a technical standpoint, I want to talk about other very big factors. The put to call ratios on SPY have increased. I do believe many market makers are hedging with this. And at the same time, they are anticipating some very big downside to come. And by market makers, I'm referring to institutions. Many of those institutions are market makers too, but what's happening is the market makers are incentivized now to actually hold the market up. And yes, in theory, this does tend to work, at least most of the time, especially considering how the market held up over the last couple of weeks. However, it's not going to last forever, unfortunately. And even though the market is kind of over leveraged on the put side, it is still possible for the market to still come down because it's like this for many, many days. It's like this going all the way up until February. We're seeing very high put to call ratios. So the market's over leveraged on the put side for almost every single day of expiration up until like February. It's pretty crazy. So it is very likely that the market will come down. I know this does change the market makers' incentives, but it doesn't really matter as much when stocks and companies are this confident in the market coming down. Now, a major catalyst for this week is Jerome Powell himself. He's going to be speaking at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday, guys. Be ready for that. Now, when he speaks, the market is going to make a big move. Does this mean we have to come down? The answer is no. There's a chance he can actually pump things up if he is very optimistic. I will go into more details about this tomorrow, but at the same time, the market could also crash. So be very, very careful. And once again, I'm going to talk more about this tomorrow. This is actually happening on Wednesday, so we have some time until then. But until then, guys, I do believe the market's going to sell off a little bit more, and this will affect Tesla. As for Tesla, we're seeing a lot of people loading up on calls. The majority of investors are just buying into those Tesla calls, anticipating upside. And if everyone's over leveraged on one side, it's not going to be too pretty because this tends to incentivize market makers to bring Tesla down. Max pain on Tesla is at about $180 a share. But remember, this does not matter that much because Jerome Powell is going to be a big factor that affects the market as well. So there's a chance that Tesla could fly well above this or even come down. If Powell was not in the picture, it's very likely Tesla would close somewhere around here, maybe a little bit higher depending on the news. But like I said before, Jerome Powell is another factor, and that's going to affect us too, which is why I really take that with a grain of salt. Now, as far as Tesla goes, there are some good signs about it. Right now, the overall volume is about 92 million. That's actually higher than average. So we did see a lot of buyers coming in. And on top of that, we actually ended up seeing the short volume percentage come down a little bit. I do believe that when the data comes out for today, it's going to show it a little bit lower, but I do believe it's going to start spiking to the upside as time goes on. We can see this uptrend right here. And I start to believe this because of the formation on Tesla, which I'm about to show you in a couple of minutes. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about is the data. As far as data goes, Tesla, as of right now, held up pretty well. We're seeing lots of buyers. It's showing lots of strength, but there's no guarantee this will last forever. I really like the price price ratio. We got a nice balance we're holding up, and Tesla is outperforming the market as of right now. But I really believe that there may be a shift tomorrow in this, and we might start to see this kind of come down just a little bit. I'm going to show you exactly why soon. Looking at many analysts, they're still very bullish, Citigroup as well. And Tesla has a very big demand zone right here. We see lots of volume at 180, so watch that very carefully. There's no guarantee we hold that, but like I said before, be very careful. Tesla tends to actually outperform itself on Mondays compared to Tuesdays. So considering that Tesla outperformed the overall market and actually closed barely green, that's not the best of sign for Tuesday. Tuesday may actually see a sell-off in the market and also for Tesla. And on top of that, even though Novembers are historically pretty decent months, there are external factors like the Fed that are going to play a big role and China that are going to slow things down. On Tesla, we noticed this big spike in the short interest. It did come down a bit as Tesla did hold up pretty well over the last couple of days. But seeing how low the short interest went, I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see this come up. This is a sign that there will likely be more shorting on Tesla. So be very careful, guys. So what's going on with Tesla's share price? I want to note two important things first before I talk about specifically about Tesla. On the SPY, this thing is not looking the best as of right now. If we take a Fibonacci retracement, this is the zone I'm going to be watching for on SPY. Starting from the bottom, from right about here, this is just a very simple one. I'm not going to try to go into too much detail about this. This thing barely held. This is about the 0.618 retracement, all right? There's a chance we bounce a little bit off of this, but we're likely going to continue to come down and go for the gap fill. So I wouldn't be surprised if SPY does end up coming down if it doesn't hold this and it sees like the 393 zone. That's very, very possible because there is some panic coming in. Now, just because we come down a bit, it doesn't mean we have to crash. There's a chance that Jerome Powell could pump the markets and this thing could see a big move to fill these gaps and start pushing to the zone I was mentioning yesterday. And that is where key resistance is. That's right about here. See the trend on SPY, how we tend to touch this top right here, and we tend to actually get rejected right off this zone. We still could get another pump before the big drop comes later on. All right. And the VIX also indicates this is possible, not guaranteeing it though. The VIX is starting to bounce. And I mentioned to everyone, watch 90 to 20 on the VIX. There's a chance we could get a bit of a bounce. On the VIX, it looks like this thing is going to push up a little bit more, which is why I'm a little bit more bearish for tomorrow for the markets. I think it's going to drag Tesla down. But when Powell talks, okay, there's a chance that the market might actually get a pop. There's a chance. I'm not guaranteeing it. I mean, it's also possible for the VIX to just start pushing up like this and the market crashes from this point on. But at the same time, the other possibility is we get one last pop in the market before the big drop comes because the VIX has this big gap right here. Right? There's a chance we push up, tomorrow, then we see the VIX come down one last time because of Powell before another big bounce. And that would not be the best for the markets. What does this essentially mean? On SPY, there are two possibilities. We either just start crashing from here, we start coming down, we start filling these gaps to the downside from this point on, or Jerome Powell causes us to pump. The market gets one last pump by like Wednesday or Thursday, and then we see a big rejection come down a little bit later. Okay. Now, before Powell comes on, I do anticipate a little bit more of a sell off in the markets. I think SPY is going to see a small bounce followed by a rejection and come all the way down to the level I just showed you around that 393 to 392 zone. If it breaks below that, then 390 is very possible. On the QQQ, this thing was actually getting dragged down by Apple, and I think Tesla played somewhat of a role, but it was more Apple for the most part because we did see Apple take a bit of a hit today, and there is potential for Apple to hit a very key zone. Not going to talk too much about these things now. I need to transition to Tesla in just a minute. On the QQQ, the key zone to watch is the 280 level. If this does come down a bit, it's not going to be the best for Tesla. So for Tesla, what am I essentially seeing? So I predicted Tesla would make a nice move, right? I predicted Tesla could see about 190 a share, and it could have even broken above this, and it went higher if the market pumped. But notice how the market came down and that slowed Tesla down. And you could see Tesla did end up coming down because of that. So I wasn't necessarily that far off. We did close green. It just didn't go as high as I wanted it to go, but that's a-okay, guys, because sometimes different pieces of news come out. Now, looking at the overall formation, this is starting to resemble a head and shoulders. It's not looking the best for Tesla. And I can actually show you this, the line right here where the shoulders are right here. Look at this resistance level. Let me actually change the color. Let me make this a little bit easier to see. Let's make this yellow. I don't know if that helped. This yellow. Okay, whatever, guys. Don't worry about that. But anyways, notice how, like right about here, we have this shoulder-like formation right here. You can even argue the shoulders about here. I mean, it's really up to you. It's pretty subjective. And then Tesla has this nice head-like pattern right here, forming the double top at about 188.5. Then we come down, we form the next shoulder. And then it is very likely Tesla's going to see a sideways day tomorrow and maybe start coming down again. Okay, so please be very careful with this stock. I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla ends up retesting this $180 zone. It's really a zone, it's not one specific level. I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla comes down to the 180 flat zone. We need to see if buyers step in. If we break below that, I'm going to be watching 177.67, around the 177 zone. 177.6, around there, right? So watch these zones very carefully. It's very likely Tesla is going to come down just a little bit temporarily. But please note that this is just a short-term prediction for Tuesday. The market could still see a big reversal on Wednesday, depending on what the big guy Jerome Powell ends up saying. Now, as far as Tesla goes, one key level you have to watch for is 177. We need to hold that. If we don't hold 177 tomorrow or over the next couple of days, this thing is likely going to come all the way down to this 172 to 175 zone. We have to hold this level. If it doesn't hold this level, it's going to come down pretty hard, and we can see it come all the way back down to the 160s, if not the 150s. So be very careful on Tesla, my friends. Now, when it comes to the way this thing is going to move, I don't really see it crashing that hard tomorrow. What I'm anticipating is, firstly, another pop into open. This is what Tesla tends to do. Tesla could end up retesting 185. That's what I'm going to be watching. And I'm not sure if Tesla's going to go all the way up to 186. I think that the market is likely going to slow down tomorrow because of the signs I showed you. Even if we are kind of green in the after hours, even if we're green into like open, we even gap up, be very careful. It does not matter as much as you think because the market could end up filling the gap to the downside. The market could end up slowing down, and there are many fake outs. On SPY, there was a big fake out today. I'm sure you guys saw it. Notice how we opened up like this. We saw the market starting to push up pretty hard for the first like 20 minutes. And then all of a sudden, the bears came in, the sell off started, and this big drop happened. So this was a fake out right here. All right. So watch these fake outs very carefully. It could happen to Tesla tomorrow. On Tesla, this is what I think is going to happen. Like I said, a small pop to either 185, maybe 186, if there is going to be a small pop, followed by a big rejection, and this thing is going to likely start coming down. I believe that this thing is going to retest 182.7 around that zone, and then it's going to end up breaking below it, in my opinion, and retest 180. This is where a lot of demand tends to be for the stock. Lots of buyers are likely going to be stepping in, trying to hold it up, but I'm not sure if 180 is going to hold. I'm actually eyeing about 177 a share. I do think Tesla's going to come down here for tomorrow, and hopefully we hold it and actually get a bounce off that and close around the high 170s. That's what I really want to see in this stock, because if we don't end up holding these like 177 zones or 175, there is still a lot of potential for downside. So be very, very careful on Tesla. But anyways, guys, this is just for Tuesday. Okay, I'm not saying we have to crash that hard. I am saying that there's likely going to be some downside and lots of sideways action. For Wednesday, watch Jerome Powell very carefully. What he says will affect the market after that. I will make another video about that tomorrow where I talk about Powell and how he may affect the markets. But until then, guys, please remain calm, cool, and collected. Do what you have to do, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon, because the long-term future is still incredibly bright, and peace out.